Hello, I'm Shauna, passionate about pages, and I'd love to welcome you to a new series of videos that I'm going to be doing each month on my channel here. So I am going to be taking one of the workshop kits from Stampin' Up each month and just talking you through some tips and tricks for how I have tweaked them a little bit, personalized a little bit, and maybe changed up some things that weren't a perfect fit for my style of scrapbooking. I know many people are similar to me in their tastes and the techniques that they prefer, and so I'm hoping that if you are one of those people, this will be of benefit to you. So I'm kicking off with this gorgeous summery feel meant to be scrapbooking workshop kit. So when you look at the three layouts on the instructions, what is the first thing you look at? So maybe just looking at layout number 1. What's the first thing your eye is drawn to? If you're like me, it's the bright pink borders or the solid pink borders. When that happens, when I look at a layout and that's where my eye goes, I instantly know that for me, I need to change that because I want my eye to go to the photos because that is key for me. When I looked at layout number 2 and layout number 3, the same thing happened to me. I looked at the borders. There's a lot of the old olive green here. There's a lot of the bright yellow here. Then I also realized that the yellow sheets in this kit, these ones that they've used as full sheets, are exclusive to the kit. They're not part of the regular meant to be paper pack. So I thought, oh, well, I don't want to waste a whole sheet of that luscious exclusive paper as a background. So I'm going to walk you through in this video what I've changed about all three layouts to help me feel like the photos are more the first thing that we look at. Alrighty, so let's have a look at layout number 1. Now, one thing I do like to have is white space around my photos so that the background isn't competing with the photos. So for this one, I dispensed with the pink cardstock altogether and used the White Willow cardstock that came in the kit. Now, when you get your instructions, one of the great things about buying a kit is that you get all the cutting dimensions. So if I show you on this one, it shows you the paper that you're going to use and the orientation to cut the paper in. It tells you if it's layout 1, 2, or 3 and which piece of the layout it is. The dimensions that are written there for you, they're in inches. Usually they're width by height. This one is height by width. That's probably just a typo. And then some of them will have a little asterisk, and that means you'll use the reverse of the paper. So for this one, you'll cut it with the bees face up, and on these ones, you'll use the reverse side, which is that lovely green honeycomb. And you just work your way through. There'll be a little scissor icon, and that shows you where to cut first. So if you cut that piece off first, then you can turn the paper in your trimmer. And I've just realized that's why it's 4 3/4, because you'll turn the paper in your trimmer and cut at 4 3/4 to get that piece. Then you'll turn the paper back and cut those pieces. Okay. So you just work your way through and cut them as you go. I like to separate mine into page protectors. I have a page protector for layout 1, layout 2, and layout 3. Now, along the way, I might make some variations, and I'm going to show you how I do that. If you like my variations, I'll give you what to write in here. So one of the variations that I just spoke about is that I'm using a full white background. So these two pieces of white were meant to be cut down into smaller squares. The smallest square was to back these 4 printed squares, and the larger one was to back the grid. I've written a reminder for myself not to cut them because I wanted to use the full sheet. So I had to come up with something that I could use in place of that white square, because you see, particularly on this one, it gives quite a nice definition around that cluster of photos. And here's what I did on this one. I happened to have purchased the coordinating stamp set that goes with this collection, and I saw these 3 versions of faces you can put onto the little bees. So I couldn't help myself, and I stamped them as a border around. Now my spacing's not perfect and the lines maybe go a bit wonky, but because I used Pool Party, it's a very pale colour, and that worked really nicely. But I wanted to show you a couple of options if you don't have that stamp set. This particular workshop introduces you to the Stampin' Write markers, and in the instructions for the workshop you will use this colour, which is called Petunia Pop. You purchase Petunia Pop as part of a pack of 5, which are all the in colours that were released last May and will be current through until 2026. Okay, so they use the marker to draw in the little bee trails.
Mommy, are you finished?
Oh, you've got to love live recording, don't you, when a 4-year-old wants you for lunch. All right, as I was saying, if you don't have the stamp set, there's a few different ways that you can create the illusion of the border around using the pens. So Pool Party is one of the colours in this, Petunia Pop of course, and then this one is the Pretty in Pink, which is that paler pink. These 2, Peach Pie and Shy Shamrock, aren't in this particular paper pack, so I won't use those. So when you use these, one end has a brush tip and one has a bullet tip, and you can get that little detail in the corners just by using the brush tip. I'll just zoom us in a little bit, right? And all you need to do is lay it on its side and press down, and then move it around and press down, and move it around and press down, and you get that neat little feature there. It's a really nice way to define corners. I've drawn light pencil lines, and then you can just do a tacking stitch to get that effect. This one is super easy. I've drawn the line, but I'm just going to freehand in segments and then do a little couple of hash marks. And these don't have to be the same size. And then this one, I'll use that technique using the side of the brush, but not pressing as hard as I did here, so that we just get smaller ones. Just like that. Then you give them a moment to dry thoroughly, and you can erase the pencil line, and you'll see these all had the pencil line under them, but you don't see it once you've erased it. So that would give you some options for going around using the markers. Alrighty, so that's tip number 1, layout number 1. Other than that, I've kept this page pretty much the same. Okay, I've got the little bees. I didn't add these couple of hearts because I felt they kind of were just floating in the air and I didn't need them. And over on this side, I wanted to include an extra photo, a 4x3 photo. So I've put that down here where the journal box was. I've swapped out the colour of the journal box to the pink, and these journal boxes all came off the sticker sheet. So your kit comes with a 12x12 sticker sheet, and that's where I've peeled that off, and this title came from here. Lots of these have already been used on the title, so everything you need to make these layouts is in the kit. Okay, so by doing that, and I've swapped out the color of the hearts here and put in green ones. Now you don't need a punch for these hearts. they come on a die cut sheet. You get this whole die cut sheet. This half is all hearts in all the colours that are in the papers. This half is flowers in all the colours. And as you see, for the 3 layouts, I've only used a very few hearts. The ones you need, if you were following the instructions, on the back they will say layout 1 or layout 2, but you can change them up as you like. And then you'll have lots of these left over, and I'm going to use those in a bonus class I'm doing to show how to use all the bits that are left. By putting the photo here, a long title looked a bit silly up at the top here. So all I did was, with my scissors, I cut between the 2 words, and you'll see that under the B, it's like a straight cut, and I went around the R. This one's stuck straight to the paper. This one's popped up on foam. And then that makes like a diagonal feature on the page. On the instructions, this piece here is showing the petunia pop side, but it looked silly having that on top of that. Fortunately, the reverse side of this piece of paper is the pool party lines. So that one worked really well. All right, that is your first, like my first adaptation. I'd love you to let me know in the comments what you think about that. As I mentioned earlier, everything you need comes in one bag with the instructions printed. So with my changes, these are all of the papers that I've got left over. So I've got a full sheet of this gorgeous exclusive yellow and a part sheet. You know these ones are exclusive because they're only printed on one side. And when they're exclusive, the only way you can get them is by purchasing the kit. Okay, this is the other one. Just gorgeous. So I have all of these printed papers left over, and I will be making use of those in an upcoming class. There's not many stickers left on this sheet after you do the workshop, just a couple of border stickers, but I didn't throw away this bit because some of the sayings, there's a printed colour box behind them, and I quite often like to use these ones for journaling or for adding dates to my layout and things, and I can cut, just fussy cut around them. So I will use these ones on the bonus pages that I'm making. I of course have my 2 sheets of the pink left over, and I have 1 sheet of the green left over, and I'll show you in the next couple of layouts how I used less of the pool party so that I could have more for my bonus layouts. And I will be using a lot more of these shapes on the bonus layouts too. All right, let's move on to layout number 2. Rather than the full yellow, I bought in 2 extra sheets of the White Willow, and I just cut 1-inch strips from the yellow paper, 4 of them that are 12 inches wide and 1 inch high. Everything else about this layout is as per the instructions. Oh, I didn't use those 2 hearts because I haven't decided if they will stay on this one. But everything else is the same dimensions exactly as the cutting. But when you look at it, you see what I mean? That yellow really draws your eye here, but here it just frames the page and brings my eye into the photos. I did want to show you one trick they've used here by turning their photos black and white. If you've got really bold papers, that's always a good trick so that all your photos are like one tone. The other time it's good is if you are trying to use some photos, say, I don't know, say one of these tops was electric green, or say that it was bright red and it was going to clash with the papers. Converting your photos to black and white before you print means that you can use the papers that you love with photos that don't necessarily coordinate color-wise. So this one was super easy, a super easy change. And to remind myself of what I was doing, I drew up a square for the yellow exclusive paper, layout 2, 1 inch by 12 inch. So that if I do this layout again with a different set of paper, I'll know what I cut. All right. Then moving on to number 3, let's have a look at this one. Oops, wrong way around. This way. Okay, so this was the one that had the full green background, the old olive background. And I did a couple of things to change this one up, all right? I did like having the old olive behind the printed paper because I think it does bring out the leaves in this exclusive paper. So just cutting these ones at 5 3/4 each of them, that was like brings your eye into the center of the layout where the bulk of the photos are. In the original layout, this side is much shorter than this side and the story is over on the edge there. I wanted to squeeze an extra photo in here. So what I did was I've cut a couple of pieces the same size. So you see 3K was meant to be shorter. I've cut it the same size as 3E, and 3I was meant to be shorter and I've cut it the same size. Then I wanted to have a bit more of this paper left over for my next layout. So when I looked, these ones were cut to be full pieces of paper behind the pink and the blue. By just cutting them into strips, I saved all of that paper because I was able to get the 4 strips from where that one was going. So these two are 1 3/4 wide and these are 3/4 wide. So the 1 3/4 goes at the bottom and the 3/4 inch goes at the top. All right. That way I was able to add another photo over here, and I moved my journaling over to this side. This one is the hexagon sticker that was meant to go on layout 1 that I've introduced here, and I've used my marker pen to dot the edges so that it stood out a bit from the background. The other variation I've done here is to my clusters. So here they just had the 2 bees and then the flowers sort of drifting off to the side and one random flower here. I wanted to have a few more flowers, so popped those in. And with these ones, when you pop out the flower, you can leave the center in or you can pop it out. Yeah. I chose 3 flowers and I just swapped the center pieces around so that the centers popped out a bit and gave a little bit more definition. And you'll see that these pop out quite neatly. If the little tabs sticking out bother you, you can just take your scissors and trim those off. But honestly, I didn't, and I don't think it's the end of the world that they show a little baby bit. Again, I needed extra White Willow cardstock to go on to the background here, but otherwise the layout worked really well, really simply. It didn't take me very long to put any of these layouts together. So I hope that's inspired you to have a little look at the instructions, tweak a few things, add in or take away things that don't suit your style, and come up with 3 layouts that you love. I'm just interested, is that something you do? Tell me in the comments, do you often personalize instructions like I've done, change up things, maybe swap around colors and things like that? I'd love to know if that's something that you do. Oh, I just realized, just flicking through there, I didn't tell you a little trick here. My father was Scottish and we have a reputation for liking to save money. So for the pool party, because there was only 1 sheet of pool party in the kit, what I did was change up how I cut it. These 2, this one and this one, were meant to be cut out of one sheet. Actually, there was 2 sheets, wasn't there? And then this one was cut out of the other sheet. What I did was not cut those. So that gave me a whole strip of the pool party I've got up my sleeve. And with this one, I cut the large one first. Then I cut a 1/2 inch in, and it gave me that size. Then I cut a 1/2 inch in. It gave me the height for this one, and I could trim it to the 4 1/4 that I wanted. So that from this one piece of cardstock, I got my 3 photo mats for this layout. All right, Scrooge McDuck. I love doing that because I know any leftover cardstock will get used in other projects that I have along the way. So that's it for today. I do have classes coming up where I'm going to teach 2 bonus layouts that use the leftover pieces. I put the wrong bit of paper down for you to look at. Use all the leftover pieces along the way, and all the details for those will be in the comments here. And then at the beginning of March the 4th, I will have the next workshop come up, and I am going to be using Wildflower Birthday. Hope this has inspired you to get this kit, and maybe if at first look it didn't float your boat, you're now thinking, actually, I do like it and I want to have a go. Bye for now.